realize our potential is if you're here to realize it. And so your safety is absolutely important. I promised myself the day I was at Kelvin's funeral, I promised myself that with the power that we all have as a community and as a council office, that we would do something to ensure that each one of you are safe. And so about a year's worth of work, lots of listening to some of you who are in here, lots of listening to your educators, lots of listening to our city staff like our Fort Worth PD, our community leaders like Roger Fogel here in United Way. We made a huge investment in you. We made a $6 million investment in our kids specifically to set up the 1 Second Collaborative. Some of y'all may be wondering, what is that? Well, first of all, it's an initiative to keep you all safe by addressing and preventing youth gun violence. There are so many ways that are productive to solve a conflict. And frankly, a gun not only affects the people involved, but it affects our families, our friends, our neighbors, our entire community. And guns are not the answer to our conflicts. Why? Because you are enough regardless of what's happening in your situation. And when we established this 1 Second Collaborative, the reason we ultimately did it was because I saw the faces of each one of you. And I recognize that it's so important that as a city, as someone who's walked the streets that you all have walked, and walked the neighborhoods that you all have walked, played in the playgrounds that you all have played in, that you are worth an investment to keep you safe. As someone who grew up in Southwest Fort Worth, I went off to HBCU, went off to TCU, and I was the first person in my family to get a doctorate. The reason I bring that up is not to boast or brag, but to say that you can go anywhere from Southwest Fort Worth and don't let anyone tell you why, because you are enough. Say, I am enough.
I am enough.
There's a lot of pride that comes with living on our side of town. I hold my head real high because I'm from Southwest Fort Worth. Some people call it the best Texas. Yeah, that's funny, right? You were from the best Texas. And there's not only pride that comes with that, there's a responsibility that comes with that, right? There's a responsibility to be the very best version of yourself. Look to your left and right. You have a responsibility to them to ensure that they're the very best versions of themselves. Why? Because when we all are well, our community is well. And so with that, I wanted to take time to share my story. One, to encourage you. Two, to let you know that there are people in the city that are making decisions day in and day out with yourself and your family and your community in mind. There are so many people that are rooting for you. There's so much potential there, and there's so many people in this city that recognize that you are the next generation that's going to make the world an even better place. And we're recognize that you are the next generation that's going to make the world an even better place, and we're depending on you to do that. And so thank you all. My heart is full because there's so many young folks in here. Y'all are here because y'all understand the importance of fulfilling your potential. Y'all are here because I know y'all love your school and your community. And that's the same reason I'm here, because I love each and every one of you, and I'm super proud to serve. We have an amazing agenda planned for you all. Lots of folks who care about you, want to pour into you today. There's also going to be some opportunity for us to hear from you as well. And we have several speakers who are doing this work, whether you know it or not. They are working around the clock for you to make sure that you have everything that you need in our village, in our community, in our part of town to be great and to make a difference. And so the first person we're going to bring up is one of my dear friends, Miss Melinda Hamilton. I've been so inspired by what she's done. She runs an organization called the Mothers of Murdered Angels. It's MAMA for short. And she'll tell you about what our organization does. But thank y'all so much for staying engaged. And before we bring her up, let's say it one more time. I am enough.
I am enough.
I just want to say one more thing. I know that some of your phone addiction is creeping in right now, but what happens in a moment of crisis is there's two types of people. There's people that are prepared and proactive, and there's people that are scared and it happens to them. Your phone is not going to come in handy at that moment. What's going to come in handy at that moment is whether or not you listen to the adults of the community who've lived through some of those life experiences. So I'm going to continue to challenge you to make sure you're engaged throughout the process, because this engagement is trying to protect you in moments that you could face over the next couple years of your life. So again, thank you.
Thank you. Before Ms. Hamilton comes up, I'd like to do some in honor of those who have lost their lives, our young people who have lost their lives to gun violence. For folks like Kelvin Brewer, for folks like famous Lockhart, and for the friends that you may have known who lost their lives to gun violence, would y'all please join me in a minute for a moment of silence to reflect and to remember them. Thank you all for honoring those people.
Good morning again, Southwest High School. First of all, thank you all for having me here this morning. I feel good about coming and talking to young people, number one. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm going to tell you the story, but first of all, I'm Melinda Hamilton. I am the founder of Mothers of Murdered Angels. It's not a good title, but it is Mothers of Murdered Angels. I am a mother, a grandmother, and a great-grandmother. I am the president of the East Fort Worth Neighborhood Coalition. I'm very involved in my community. I am also the president of Carver Heights East Neighborhood Association. We're going to start back in 2018. 2018, my daughter, Shamika, 32 years old, she was over to a house with some of her friends and in a neighborhood in the south side of Fort Worth, where in the summertime, people hang out after they get off from work on the weekends. So this evening, there was a drive-by shooting. 10 people were injured. 2 of them was killed. One of them happened to be my daughter. I was at a department store when I get a call. You just imagine this, your parents, you all, your parents get a call that evening and say, Mama, you need to come over here to the south side, something is happening. At this time, we're not knowing that this is my daughter that is over there laying in the street with the other guy. This time, there is so many police here on Evans Avenue. All you could see was cars and people hanging out. So they said, well, Miss Hamilton, I don't think that's Mika over there. So they sent us to 2 different hospitals. One hospital I go in, they said, no, that's not her. They didn't have anyone of that description. So we go to the second one, and we're leaving out of the second one, and they said she's not there. So as we're walking out of the building, the hospital, one little young lady and her boyfriend say, Miss Hamilton, you looking for me? I said, yes, we're looking for her. And then that's when she told us, a parent get a call. Number one, the second heartbreaking thing was, yes, that's your daughter that's over there. So, find out that's Shamika. So, there is no book for your parents to read on how to bury a child. There is not no book at all. So, going forward, 2 years later, 2020, I lost my grandson, 19 years old, just graduated. 4 months later, he's getting ready to go to the Navy. He takes his girlfriend out. They have dinner and go to a movie. He's walking back up to his mother's house. 4 guys jumps out of the bush by their house and just starts shooting. Bullies. He had problems in school with bullies. Bullies is a #1 thing too. So these bullies shot my grandson in the back. 3 of them did, because the driver said he was just trying to get some money for his newborn baby. You know? So this is what I'm telling you, young folks. There is no book, and a mother or a father do not want to bury their children. Back in the days, it was us, it was the older people passing before the young kids. Now, we're burying our own babies daily. 2 days ago, there was another shooting. I get the calls. What I do right now is I help these parents make sure that they have the money for burying their babies, going through the courts with them, going through the counseling and the trauma with them. And we're having retreats, trying to get them back in order. But it's not just the parents. This here involves your cousins, your friends, and everyone else. It's not just you. So this gun violence has to stop. And Mothers of Murdered Angels is going to different schools, and we're going to different cities also. We was down in Uvalde. That was horrible. And I think all of you all know about the shooting in the school, where all those kids got killed and the teachers too. We were down there. Soon as you drove in, you could feel that. You didn't even have to be there yet, but you could feel that. This is hurtful, young people. Just like your principal said, you see something, you say something. You see something, you say something, because you want someone to say something in reference to you if you're getting hurt or beat up or whatever. You want that person to either call 911 or say something. Don't go home and don't say anything. This is not a joke, but I appreciate you all having me out here to talk to you all. But the main thing is, young people, your parents don't want to bury you. Guns is no joke. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you all.
Good morning, Southwest High School. Good morning. That's what I'm talking about. Feel good when you say it. I think most of y'all, you guys were coming in. I tried to greet you guys, tried to say hello to most of you guys, get some fist bumps and stuff like that. And the reason I did that is because I wanted to give you the respect first. Because I understand that today's society, I hear a lot of the youngsters talking about, well, they don't respect me. My word doesn't mean anything. My voice doesn't matter. But I'm here to tell you, to show you, it does matter. But you gotta use it. So me, if I want something from you, I'm going to be first and give it to you. Did I not try to respect each and every one of you guys when you came in? Be honest, the ones I interacted with. Be honest. Okay, so this is what I want. These people that are here, that came, they came because they respect you too. They love you, they care about you, they want to see you succeed, they want to see you live. So I just need a quick favor, because I did something for you. I want you to, I want the snickering and the laughing and the playing to stop. I want you to be serious about your lives. Be serious about this conversation. Because it hurt when I go to a scene and there's a 15-year-old with his brains on the concrete. It hurts. Yeah, I know it's funny. it's Kiki and Kaka, till it knock on your door. It's your little brother. It's your cousin. It's your homeboy. You better start taking life serious. Start living it right. I don't know when it became cool to be a goofball. I don't know when it became cool to be splat on the concrete. I don't know why it's a constant thing in these communities that mothers got to sit on the front row and bury their children. That's a pain that you'll never, ever understand. You don't want to understand. That hurts. A mother has to bury her child. A father got to go watch his son lowered into dirt. And everybody laughing and thinking it's a game. It's real. You got to catch a bluebird bus. 50 years in the state penitentiary. They're not coming to visit you, the ones you laughing with and playing with. When they lay you on that table down there in Huntsville, Texas, and ask you got any last words, and they open up that mirror, and it's a glass, you laying on this table. They got you hooked up to this machine. None of these people that you think of, we cool, we all right, they're not gonna be there. When they hit that switch, and they start to put that liquid in your arm, that's it. Because you got death. Your life is over. 25 years old, 31 years old, 42 years old, your life is over. I'm 51. I promise you, I've gotten away with more on accident than any of y'all can think about on purpose. And because of that, this is what I do. I don't come back just to yell at you, scream at you. I come back to love on you. And I try to show you that with my actions. That's why I'm up here today. I'm not even on here to speak. My name is Roger Bowe. Look at the agenda, but I see the play, and I can't stand it. I want y'all to be serious, man. When I tell you I love you and I got you, if any one of y'all, when I walk out here, want my phone number, and you're going through something, you need some help with something, you can call me. I promise I'm gonna be there. Check my resume. Some of y'all know some of the youngsters that I deal with. They'll tell you, call Roger. And I know that's what a lot of y'all need, and that's okay. I'm gonna do that for you, but I need for y'all to take it serious. Please stop playing in here. Please. Because it's real. Y'all got some fears y'all seen. Y'all heard Councilman Williams talk about a death. That's my little cousin, Kevin Wood. On Juneteenth, it'll be 2 years. Guess what? He going to a fight. He's not even involved in the fight. On his way to Texas Southern to play football. Yeah, Texas Southern to play football. I know some football players in here. I seen y'all, looked at y'all, but it can be over with just like that. Better watch the decisions that you make, the choices that you make. Everything that you think funny, I hear it, I'm still listening. It's okay, but guess what? I see it, hear everything. I'm gonna catch you when you come out. I'm gonna talk to you, see what's wrong, why I couldn't get the respect that I gave you. Yeah, it's funny. All right. I love y'all, man. I just wanted to come up here and take 2 or 3 minutes. I'm sorry, I know it went over, but I wanted to let y'all know how serious this is and to let y'all know, man, I'm here for you. You can get my number, call me. Got several gentlemen that'll do the same thing for you. Even for these young ladies, got some ladies that'll help y'all too as well. Respect these people that came out to pour into y'all, man, and to love on y'all. Because anybody in here could have been doing something different, man. But they decided to come up here to Southwest High School and pour into y'all today. Give them their respect, please. I'm begging you. If you don't do it for nobody, you just do it because I asked you to, please. Thank you.
Hello, good morning. Good morning. Hi, my name is Siobhan Davis, and I will be presenting a short presentation. I know we always talk about with you young people to avoid violence, to avoid gun violence, but we also kind of miss what happens in that moment. okay, when conflict arises. And so I travel around and I teach about conflict resolution, and so I'm gonna show you a few news articles, give you some de-escalation tips, and then I have some giveaways at the end, okay? So make sure you pay attention. All right, so this is called Fighting. Is it really worth your life or freedom? And I do want to notate that those two microphones right there are for you all to be able to share your comments, okay? And so some of the questions that I may ask, if you have a comment, you want to come up, please do so, okay? All right, so when I say fighting, is it really worth your life or freedom? Can anybody tell me, does anybody want to volunteer? What do I mean by is it worth your life? You can shout it out. What do I mean by fighting? Is it really worth your life? That's right. Okay, because at the end of the day, although we're talking about gun violence, what leads to gun violence, I think we can all agree a lot of times is fighting starts first, okay? So let's talk about that, all right? Yes, you can absolutely lose your life from fighting. It happens. I go around and I travel and I tell people stories. You're in the bathroom, you're meeting up to fight, you hit your head on the sink, you're gone. You're getting stomped, you decide to jump somebody, it can happen. And then when I say freedom, there are absolutely young people in jail because of fighting, because it ended bad and they didn't expect for it to get that bad. But it happens. So before we even get to the gun violence, let's stop choosing violence, period, which is fighting, and let's talk. Let's do different things. And if you don't know what those other alternatives are to fighting, I'm going to give you 5 of them today. Okay? All right, next slide. Just some fun facts about me, all right? That's my beautiful family, and some of you may be like, I feel like I know this lady or I've seen her. I am the PTA president here. I absolutely adore Principal Engel, the staff, and all of you kiddos. You probably see us every 6 weeks. We do a celebration for you wonderful kiddos where we give sweet treats and A&B honor roll and perfect attendance. And then we also have a big event at the end of the year. So that is why we put together this wonderful event, because I am 100% invested, not just because my daughter Jakira goes here, but because we just love you all, okay? And we want the best for you. I am a theater arts educator and consultant. My company is called Acting with Mrs. Davis. I see some of my theater kiddos up in here, and I work alongside Miss Duque. And so with that, a fun highlight, my company was recognized by Beyonce and the NAACP. Thank you for the work that we do through theater. We change lives through theater. It's not just acting, okay? It's culture, it's everything. It's a lifestyle that we use through theater. Also, I am a nonprofit executive director. My organization is 1/3 of the groups that put this event together, Maroon 9 Community Enrichment Organization, and we focus on teens, your age. We have wonderful events. We just took 100 teens to see Stomp Wars last weekend. We also took teens to see Drumline, and we also do college tours. All right, so just to let you know that the person in front of you, I care, and this is what I do on a daily. I pour in the children, okay, just like yourself. All right, let's get started. I want to show you the story of Cashla Francis. All right, so please pay attention.
I can see these girls kicking her in the head while the children are laughing at her.
Grief, heartbreak, and anger strikes the mother unexpectedly. Mamie Jackson is talking about this video. Her daughter, Cashla Francis, in a brutal fight. This was Thursday down the street from Attucks Middle School. They had just been released. In the video, you hear laughing as she lies on the ground, taking several blows to the head.
She's 13 years old.
Her mother says she arrived home after the fight with a bruise on her face, but Cashla insisted she wasn't badly hurt.
She kept saying, like, I'm fine.
Saturday, her mother says Cashla was at a family member's house. Another family member says Cashla appeared delusional for a moment, but things got back to normal. By Sunday, things would change again. Mamie tells me her daughter was weak and complained of a headache.
I drove over, and she told me, I told her, get up. Get up, Cashla. She kept saying, Mama, my hair. So she laid down.
That was the last time she saw her daughter's eyes close. By the time first responders arrived, she was unconscious. They rushed her to Texas Children's Hospital.
And we found out she had a large tumor in the back of her head. and she had fluid buildup in her brain.
The tumor unbeknownst to the family before doctors discovered it Sunday, and now her mother wonders how the other issues arose, the fluid buildup on her brain.
All I know is my daughter was perfectly fine before this fight. And now, I'm losing my baby.
All right. So, let me tell you a little bit about that story. That young lady ended up passing away. And so what happened with her is, as you saw in the video, she got into a fight, all right? She was beat repeatedly in the head and went home and said she was fine. She had a bruise, told her mom, I'm okay, I'm just gonna lay down, go to sleep. Woke up, well, she never woke up, okay? And so what happened is she ended up having a tumor in the back of her head. And that's what I want you young people to realize is that when you decide to put your hands on someone, you don't know what that person is dealing with medically. You could be fighting someone who has a severe asthma attack and they die. And the last thing her mother said on that video was, my daughter was fine before this fight. So now a simple fight, you're in court trying to fight for your freedom because you call yourself just fighting someone and they die. It happens. We've got to avoid the violence. We've got to avoid fighting because it can lead to this. And if you are okay with your mother or your father or your family being on the news crying, please raise your hand because I don't know anybody in here who wants that to be their family. I've literally sat on the couch watching the news and saw Sean Rabb with a mother up there crying, wondering, trying to get answers on who killed her child, and it was my first ever student that I taught. And I'm like, whoa, this is 5 years, I know that name. I don't ever want to sit on the couch watching the news and hear your parents crying when I'm like, we poured into these kiddos. We love these kiddos. Make good decisions. Fighting is not the answer. Okay, and again, I'm gonna give you some tips. All right, let's take a look at the story of Gregory Tier. This is from a different perspective. Please pay attention.
Defending himself. Good evening, I'm ready to...
Getting all the way to the beginning. Bear with us, you all. There we go. Uh-oh, we're missing some volume on it. Bear with us, you all.
Here, there's one thing I want to say while they get this straight. When you guys video a fight, it's ha-ha until it's you in the fight not doing well. And the other thing I'm going to say is you better pick your friends wisely. I'm going to share a personal story. I've been a principal for 20 years. One of my favorite students got in a car on Riverside Drive a bunch of years ago. They're riding around, doing their thing. Dude in the front seat pulls out, pop, 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 pop into a house. He killed a 12-year-old girl. He was like, I didn't do it. I went to the courtroom. In the courtroom, they asked me two questions. Did you know the people you were riding with were affiliated with the gang? Yes. Did you know the people you rode with sometimes carry guns? Yes. He got the same sentence as the person who shot the gun. Last thing I'm going to say, Ms. Molly, Ms. Rodriguez, and Mr. Cormier back it up. Don't you think your friends are going to not save themselves? You all do it every day with me. You come in my office, man, you quick to tell it. Quick! Save yourself. When the consequences get bigger, you think somebody's going to go down there and be like, that whole day, I ain't a stitch? Please. And your friends ain't going to come visit you. It's going to be left on your family. You want to be good friends, see something, say something. Get them not doing the things they want to do. Be a gang of scholars. Because that's the opportunities that are going to give you opportunities. All right.
Thank you.
Still on time.
We're ready. All right, pay attention, please.
Aggressor and his classmate at Abraham Lincoln High School was
Gotta start at the
defending
beginning.
himself.
KTV News Watch 7.
There we go.
I'm very sorry for what has happened, what it's accumulated to.
Regret from the Council Bluffs teenager who will not be charged for a school fight. Prosecutors say video makes the case. Gregory Tier was defending himself. Good evening, I'm Randy Peterson.
I'm Rob McCartney. Potawatomi County attorneys say Dakota Eskridge was the aggressor and his classmate at Abraham Lincoln High School was defending himself.
KTV News Watch 7's Jeremy Maskell is live in Council Bluffs with our big story of 6.
Brandy and Rob, new information I've confirmed within the last 20 minutes. Council Bluffs Community Schools tells me the district has not yet decided what school discipline that Gregory Tier may face after the fight last Thursday, but we do know tonight after a press conference here at the Potawatomi County Courthouse, he will not face any criminal charges.
I'm very sorry for what has happened, what it's accumulated to, and I feel horrible for the situation.
16-year-old Gregory Tier shares his regret for the fight that killed 17-year-old Dakota Eskridge last week, minutes after Potawatomi County prosecutors dropped charges against the teen.
Greg Tier was legally justified in the force that was used. We will not be pursuing criminal charges against him.
Matt Wilbur argues Tier was acting in self-defense, saying this surveillance video from Abraham Lincoln High School is proof. He says it shows a verbal altercation in the cafeteria. Then Eskridge following Tier into the comments where Eskridge started shoving Tier. Both swung at each other, but Tier's punch connected. Well, it sent Eskridge to the ground and ultimately killed him. Matt Wilbur says that Eskridge's only injury discovered at autopsy was from the fall.
Interestingly, from that is that he had no bruising or fractures to his face.
Now investigators are focused on changing the culture in schools to prevent more fights.
We need to do what we can in law enforcement, whether that's my office, the police department, the school district, community outreach, those that have teenagers that they love. We need to come together and figure out how can we create a culture in the schools that discourages these types of confrontations.
Gregory Tier himself has advised.
Fighting is not the answer. Walk away.
All right, we're going to stop that video right there. Let me tell you what happened in this situation. I know Ms. Hamilton mentions bullying, so there was an altercation. Well, they bumped into each other on accident, these two students. One of them said, you know what, I'm going to see you later, even though the other one was trying to walk away. It was an accident. Well, he saw him at lunch, as you saw on the video, and he decided to spark it up again. And so the gentleman who you saw on the stand hit him one time. He hit him so hard that he fell and he hit his head and he died from that hit on the ground. That is how quick it can happen. And as you see, this young man had to go to court. His family had to pull resources together to get him a lawyer. He had to defend himself. Now, ultimately, it became a self-defense issue, but I want you to think about the other end of the person who would not stop. And that person, the other gentleman, felt like he had to do what he had to do. Now, as you saw, he is regretful. He has to live his life knowing that he defended himself and killed someone. I'm pretty sure he's going to be going through it and having therapy and trying to figure that out. So if you are a person who's always the aggressor, always bothering people, always challenging people, trying to push your friends to do things, let it go. Let it go. And think about the consequences of what can happen. Because it can happen. All right, let me give you guys these 5 de-escalation tips. All right. Walk away. So when I say fighting, is it really work? I want you to think about these 5 things. And I want you to remember these 5 things. Walk away. You can absolutely walk away. You can go get help. You can say, you can blow off steam. You know what? I know what's going to happen if I stick around. I'm just going to walk away. There's other options. There are other options. Fighting is not the only answer. Okay? There's 4 of them right there. Realize that. Okay? React responsibly. Think about your family. Think about your future. Think about your safety. Life is all about reactions, and we get to choose those reactions. So when you choose violence, you're ready for those consequences, and you shouldn't be. You should be focusing on reacting responsibly, okay? T, talk it out. Be the bigger person. Pull somebody to the side. Bro, I didn't like how you made me feel, what you said. Talk it out. Young people, we struggle in communication. We can talk things out, okay? And H, when you do decide to talk it out, have a positive mindset. Because if you approach a situation negatively, that can happen. That's what's going to happen. So have a positive mindset. You're going to deal with conflict forever. Can we fight every single person that we have a conflict with? No. Should we fight every person we have a conflict with? No. And you're going to have conflicts and disagreements for the rest of your life. But we got to stay safe, okay? All right, next slide. Before we start our panel, I just want to thank you. I do have some giveaways, but we're running behind time. I want to get to the panel. So at the end, I hope you remember all 5 of those, because if you did, lunch is on me. All right, so I've got some giveaways for you all, but I'm gonna wait till the end. I want to thank y'all so much, and I hope that you use these de-escalation tips. All right, y'all have a good day. Panel, you're up.
I don't remember being this rowdy when I was in high school.
You said what?
I don't remember being this rowdy when I was in high school.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let me get your attention. Let me have your attention, please. I was trying to get the students' attention by playing a song, I Am Who They Say I Am. How many people knows that song? The guy name is what? What's the rapper's name? Young Boy, Young Boy. So listen. Here's what we're gonna do. Here's what we're gonna do. Here's what we're gonna do. I want you all to think about this statement. And when we leave here today, I want you all to be the students you want to be. Don't let no one else paint you with their brush. So I'm going to ask you again before I introduce my panel and my illustrious potentate to tell you why we're wearing these nice hats and why our daughters are sitting here with those nice feathers on. We will explain that in a second. But I want you to think about it before we get into the program. Are you the student who they say you are? I want you to be the writer and the author of your own story. I'm going to invite my illustrious potentate to come up, Mr. Justin Davis. He's going to give a quick introduction about who we are, why we're dressed like this, and why we're here today. We're going to have the panelists introduce themselves. We have 2 of your own students here. He's going to get right to the questions for you all, okay? Without further ado, Mr. Justin Davis.
Good morning, Southwest Raiders. Y'all doing all right this morning? Y'all good? All right. Again, my name is illustrious potentate Justin L. Davis. I'm with Magi Temple, number 45. We are Prince Hall Shriners. We have our female counterpart sitting with us today, the Daughters of Isis, Magi Court number 38. We are here today to lend our support to the student body, give you all a chance to tell us how y'all feel. You know, as it pertains to student safety, gun violence, conflict resolution, things like that. We give scholarships to graduating high school seniors. So if you are a high school senior, we have scholarships available. So I'm not going to be before you long. We're going to turn it over to the panel, but I just want to let y'all know who we are: Magi Temple number 45 and Magi Court number 38. So thank you.
Before we get started with the panel, introduction of the panel, I'd like to thank the Dallas chapter, Greater North Texas chapter president of the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives, Dr. Jeffrey Fox. Please stand, sir. You give a round of applause. We have some very important people to speak here today. Before us, the council member, Ms. Belinda Hamilton. More specifically, we want to give it to you. We're going to now ask you a list of questions. We want you to be honest in your answers, be candid. We want to hear what you all have to say so we can come back and pour into you in your communities. So without stopping the program, Captain, from you on the left, I'll let Captain Hoffman introduce himself and give a 1 or 2 minute introduction about what he's doing in the community as he works as a Fort Worth Police Captain. Then we have your 2 students in the middle, and then we'll get to the Deputy Chief on the end. Captain?
My name's Brett. I'm Captain at Fort Worth Police Department, Community Partnership.
Is it on? Is it working? My name's Brent. I'm a captain at Fort Worth Police Department, assigned to community partnerships. I started with the department in 2001. I was actually in a civilian job, and I was 3 years into a pre-med degree whenever 9/11 happened. And that affected me so much that I gave up 3 years of a pre-med degree to become a police officer and try to make a difference in the world.
I'm Hawaii. I'm a junior. Some of y'all know me. I'm a cheerleader. I'm an AMP, all that good stuff. But I'm up here because I love my student body, and seeing how schools are facing violence consistently and the fact that it's getting closer and closer, it really hurts my heart because I love going to Southwest and I don't want to see any of you laid out. I don't want to see ambulance up here because of avoidable violence. So I just really hope y'all take everything that they're saying to heart, because if you don't feel like you learn anything here, this is teaching you something. So thank you.
Good job, good job. Thank you.
My name is Matthew Plummer. I'm a utility worker of the Broadcast and Journalism program, as well as a former teammate of Southwest Raiders. I have also got the opportunity as a broadcast and journalism student to understand the sense of school violence, and I've been grateful to come up here and talk about it.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Dave Kerkhoff. I'm a deputy chief with the Fort Worth Police Department. I currently work on the city's violent crime plan. So a big part of what I do is, we all do, is trying to keep you guys safe. You think about it every day. We care so much about you, just like all the speakers do as well. So I'm very excited to be here. The biggest reason is I want to hear from you guys. You know, I hang around most of my day. I'm surrounded by police officers, and they have one perspective as well. But this opportunity to hear from what you guys have to say and what you guys want from us, I'm really looking forward to. So thank you.
Okay, we're going to get started with the first question. I'm the moderator. I'm going to ask this question of my panelists, and then I'm going to ask the question of the audience. Get some noise over here, so maybe I'll go to the left side, because I hear some students talking. I know you're ready to get engaged. So here's the first question to my panel. What do you all think is the most single significant contributor to violence in our respective communities which we live in? I'll start with you, Captain, and then we'll go down the line. What do you think, sir?
First we came, Chief Carvajal and I did, mostly do some listening, taking notes, so I'll try to keep our comments short, listen to what y'all have to say. I think misunderstanding, just a real simple, short answer, misunderstanding each other. Too stuck in ourselves, not understanding people's point of views, stigma on mental health, people not thinking they can say something when they see something.
Okay.
For me, it's two things. I think what he said, lack of mental health resources, but also we've created like such a culture of violence where somebody looks at you a wrong way or somebody says something about you and now you want to fight about it, or some people take it to the next level. Oh, I'm gonna get my brother from this side to come do this and that. And it's just not necessary. So I think the lack of conflict resolution and finding actual resolutions to our problems and just trying to go about it without fighting. I understand feeling disrespected, but the reality is when you become an adult, you can't harm everyone that upsets you. So if we work on conflict resolution and destigmatizing mental health for people, I think that that would stop violence or at least help.
Awesome response. Thank you. Mr. Plummer, what do you think, sir?
The reason I believe that school violence is on the rise is because I believe students doesn't reciprocate the same sense of respect whenever they interact with each other. And I believe that they should learn the very first sense of self-defense, which is not using your hands, but using your feet. Not to kick or to stomp at someone, but to walk away.
Good job, sir. Thank
You know, when I think about the biggest contributing factors to violence, there's a couple things that come to mind, is role modeling and opportunity. You know, you have some great role models here. We have to be careful who we frame ourselves after. You know, there's a lot of stuff on social media, on TV about things that we think are cool. You know, we got to make sure we choose the right people to follow. The other thing is opportunity. You know, I see a lot of kids, you know, we're out here in the streets, a lot of kids are getting caught up in violence and crime. It's because they don't feel like they have any other way. And it goes back to the role modeling. You know, if you have nothing, you know, if you have a broken home, if you don't have much going on, you look on social media and you have these other people that are doing bad things, but they, you know, they have friends, they have money, you know, it's hard to compete with that. So we just have to make sure we're giving these young people opportunities and remind them over and over and over. It's big, it's much bigger than the small environment that you live in. There's a whole big world out there. So recognize those opportunities that are out there so you can make better choices.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Let me have a student. Let me have a student from the audience, from the left side over here. Let me have any one student who's brave enough to approach the microphone. Let me have a student. Stand up. Heard some noise. That means that you want to talk. I need one student. Come to the microphone right now. Nobody's moving. Give me a student from this section. Come to the microphone, please. One student. One student. Come on, young man. Hey, come on, right here. Come on, come on, come on. Let's go. Come on, man. Let's go, let's go.
I'll come to you since you don't want to come up here, but somebody got to talk because I've been talking this whole time.
Good deal. Yes, yes.
So y'all got so much to say, so now here's the important time to talk. What do y'all think is the biggest contributor to violence in schools?
Stand up, give a good answer. Listen.
My name is Kaylee, and I feel like it's the students. I feel like it's because the students feel like they have to, like, because their friends telling them, oh, she's talking about you, you should do something to her because she thinks she's big and bad. And it really, like, it's basically them putting that in your head that you have to do something about it.
Good job, thank you. Let's get another student from the right side. Answer the same question. Young lady, step up to the microphone. Thank you. Listen, she's about to answer.
Hi, my name is Maritza. What I think is part of school violence is that there's not enough active kindness around the school. So everyone around here is always mean to one another. Everyone around here wants to fight someone because of the fact that they feel disrespected. So people not giving like good comments to each other, people not like saying I'm sorry whenever someone gets pushed or saying excuse me, they get mad really easily. So they feel misunderstood, and that's what causes the fact to react a certain way they react.
Thank you very much. Ms. Garrett, let's go to the back. Let's get someone from the back to answer the same question. Young person with their hand up right there. Stand up, get to the microphone. Put your hand up, put your hand up. The person with their hand up over there. Yes. You're next, young lady, right here in the middle. You're next. Is your mic on?
I can talk?
Yes, go, proceed.
I think it's because we don't feel understood because this generation don't really know how to communicate their emotions in a positive and a healthy way. They communicate with like bad words. They don't know how to really talk. So they want to talk. And growing up, because they're in their household, their parents don't teach them and talk to them enough. But they want to know how to open up to this generation. They don't know how to talk to each other because they don't know proper communication. That's why I think it's best to either teach our kids growing up in the household so they can like talk to their parents about stuff. I know I don't talk to my dad about anything. And that's why like I don't talk to anybody about stuff unless somebody talks to me. And I feel like a lot of kids, they just need help. They just need help with communication. And you just need somebody to talk to.
Thank you very much for your response. Very well said. Very well said. Communication. Did you all hear what she said? Communication. She's talking about your peers, your generation. She's saying you all need to collectively understand how to communicate. Not texting, not using technology, but talking. Conflict resolution, sitting down, talking to people. Next student. Thank you very much.
Okay, my bad. So, my name is Paris, and I strictly just feel like it's peer pressure and social media. Because, you know, we in a presentation about people like you, so I'm gonna let you have it.
Let's be cordial.
I'm gonna let you have it. But like I was saying, before the ignorance.
I want to ask you a question. State your answer, young lady.
I strictly just feel like it's peer pressure and social media because social media is a lot of it's very fast active for a lot of people that don't have a strong mindset. Because you can look at somebody and be like, oh, they got this, so I feel like I want to be this way or that way. So it's easily to influence somebody. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Pass the microphone back. Let's hear you come back to the stage. So, going back to my panel, in the interest of time, I have a question for the panel. So, Captain Halford, you are our chief. You can answer this question for me. How can community leaders, organizations, and legislators help shape policy to curtail the influx of guns, especially assault weapons, in communities such as the community we're in today?
You know, we can look for our legislators to solve this problem, you know, and we hope they do. Certainly, you know, whatever side of that argument you fall on, you know, everyone has opposing views, but we kind of got to first focus back on ourselves. And, you know, responsible gun ownership, or, you know, good values at home, conflict resolution. So a big part of controlling gun violence is controlling our own guns, you know, even just simple things. You know, I used to work property crimes, and there's been nights when 10 cars get broken into, and 5 of them have guns. You know, so they're not going out to necessarily, like, there's not a person in here that can go to Walmart, like, right now and buy a gun, except for maybe the adults. But there's probably someone in here that can get a hold of a gun. So as much as we want to rely on the legislation, we kind of have to focus on ourselves as well and some of our personal practices and reliable, responsible gun ownership.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Mr. Plummer?
I believe this subject was something that I've also talked with the officer to my left, Mr. Brent here. Do you think the subject we talked about before is kind of similar to what is given to the question?
Time Magazine actually did an article last month about this. I did a little research and I thought I was going to be here. And they came up with a small list of things that have been proven to work on gun violence. And gun violence is just stemming from violence, which is an old problem. Violence is not a new problem. Even if you look at the book of Matthew, whenever Jesus was arrested, he had to tell Peter whenever he drew a sword out to defend him, all who draw the sword will die by the sword. And it was a warning that was a long time ago, before guns existed, that violence begets violence. If you're violent, you will be the victim of violence. In Time Magazine's article, they addressed firearm storage. Whenever you go to buy a gun, they started putting gun locks on there the last, 10 or 15 years? Why don't they make you buy a safe? If every gun came with a safe, how much more difficult would it be to steal 5 out of 10 houses you break into getting a hold of a gun?
Thank you for your response, sir. Ms. Geary, you want to respond to that?
Can you restate the question?
Sure. It's a long one. After this, I'll come back to the audience for one final question before we wrap up for our next session. So basically, I asked the question, how can community leaders, organizations, and legislators help shape policy to curtail the influx of guns, especially assault weapons, in communities as such?
Well, I think that, well, for one, most of us in here are people of color, so a lot of us are triggered or we don't respond well to police, and with good reason, because when you respond to violence or when you respond to an emergency call with violence, we're less inclined to listen to you, we're less inclined to want your help. So if you're trying to get rid of the gun issue, I think first, a big part of that is the police's response to Black and brown communities. But also, I think that legislators, I think they should think in terms of citizens and of children and not just them wanting their guns. Obviously, the Second Amendment is a thing and we have the right to bear arms, but legislators are not doing a good job at responsibly implementing these laws. You're giving people the right to own guns, but with what restrictions? An age restriction doesn't do much, but at the same time, you can't just let a 21-year-old who has mental issues, who has homicidal ideation, things like that, you can't allow them to buy a gun simply based off of age. So I think legislators should make laws considering children, considering families, considering communities.
Awesome, awesome. It's very sharp. Really sharp students here. We have great student representation here. So I want someone from the rear to stand, someone here in the middle to stand, someone on my right side to stand. Okay, young lady right here with the red, the person, okay, come to the aisle. Got a question for you. So here's your question. Come to the microphone. You can bring it to a podium. So here's your question. Okay, listen up. Good job. Listen up, listen up. Listen up, here's the question. So, do you and your peers feel comfortable talking to someone about mental health challenges? Do you and your peers feel comfortable talking to someone about mental health challenges?
Okay, can y'all hear me? Alright, I feel like the answer is no, because in a lot of Black communities, and since a lot of us are POCs, in a lot of POC households, mental health is stigmatized. It is not talked about enough, and I feel like it should be a bigger topic of conversation. So no, a lot of people do not feel comfortable talking about their mental health, I'm sorry, their mental health challenges.
Awesome. Thanks for your answer. Where's my next student? Microphone, right here. Red, go for it. Answer the question. Right here. Red, orange, what's that? Orange right here? Yeah, answer.
Okay. So about like what she had said about, we make it feel like weird whenever we're saying something about our mental health, like we don't feel good or something. Like they always have, in households of color mostly, that they always have a response to it that's negative and we don't want to talk about it with them. And with other adults, like outside of our homes, we might feel like they're against us, especially at school. Like they'll tell us, oh, we have these resources to help you, but when we get aside those resources, it doesn't like cater to us for real. If that makes sense, like people of color, like they'll say something general, like, she's not dealing with the same thing I'm dealing with, so it doesn't help overall.
Great answer, makes sense, thank you. Next person, right here.
My name is Shruti Booker, but with the question that you asked, I feel like it brings negative attention to when we express our emotions. It brings like we're having a problem in the household, or it brings negative effect into the Black community, or by if you're being like mentally abused or physically abused, y'all think that it's coming from the house, but it really just coming from you and deep down in like your body and stuff. So yeah.
Thanks for your answer, appreciate it. Great sweatshirt, answer.
I think it's all because it brings it back to communication, because we don't know how to really communicate our feelings when you're involved in a household that doesn't talk to you or don't ask you questions like how you're doing. They all think it's because like what adults like to say, well, my people like to say, kids can't have problems because they're kids. You have no business. You have no privacy because you're still young. You're not able to really express your emotions because that's talking back, or you're being disrespectful when you're really expressing your emotions. Now when you really express your emotions now, it becomes a violence. You start yelling, you start getting mad because you're not being heard. You feel like you're not being heard. It's like nobody really understands you. You express that through anger, through frustration and irritation because you're not being heard. You can't express your emotions in a positive way. You can't do nothing. You just be angry. And that's why a lot of our generation have anger issues and bipolar, and they're just because they're mad, they're not being heard. Especially people of color, they're not being heard because people act like we can't feel emotions, that we're not human, and that we don't have the right to be sad. We can't be sad. We can't have depression because we have no problems because we're so young.
Thank you very much. Great response. We have one more student over here. We have one more student here.
Yes.
One more student here, then we can hear.
The thing about it is, you can't explain mental health awareness to people who don't even know what mental health is. Because if I ask like half of y'all in here, like, what is depression? Y'all would chalk it up to being sad. But it's not just that. People can't sleep. People can't even take care of themselves because of depression. It's not just them being sad. Like, people are going through stuff every day, and like, if you can't explain that to someone who doesn't understand mental health awareness, like, what do you have?
Mr. Plummer, can you pass the microphone to the gentleman right here at the stage? Do me a favor, you're gonna get a chance to answer. Pass the microphone to the gentleman right here at the stage. Right here. Me? No, sir. Gentleman to your left.
Alright, so I believe that, you know, some people right here, honestly, they like to start fights just because maybe they have problems like in their household or something, and like they just don't know how to express their emotions correctly. Or if like they're dealing with an external conflict, maybe with one of their friends, or like I was saying, even family members. And I think a way we can stop that is like maybe with like either counseling or just someone that the students here can talk to, so that way they can at least have these problems treated. And hopefully that will reduce violence. Thank you.
Great job. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Young lady right here, voting. We have one student here. In the interest of time, you three remain standing, and then we'll conclude this program. So, young lady right here.
Yes, I'm Chloe, and my spiel about mental health is at home, your parents, they're trying to like raise you to be strong and like self-sufficient and everything. So they're like, here, you should be strong, even though they're gonna like, they want to push your problems kind of under so that they can like drown them out and that it won't bother you. But they're just ignoring them and they're just growing. And sometimes it doesn't end well for your child because they're like, mental health degrades really rapidly and it just ruins them not having the help that they need when they need it, when they could have had it before and been perfectly fine. Not only on the surface level, but in their mind and everything.
Great job. Thanks for your response. Appreciate it. Young man right here, and then the young lady behind you.
So as a person who also suffers from depression, anxiety, yes, everyone needs some mental help, but it's a matter of fact of getting it. I've been on a waiting list for about 6 months now, trying to get to a therapist, except none of them are available. No one wants to take me in, no one wants to help me. I feel like that people who don't know how to deal with it, they either end up killing themselves or they go and take it out on other people. From either school shootings, drive-bys, gang violence. It's less about the fact of them wanting to do it, them thinking, hey, I'll be so cool about this, and more of them having a way to express themselves about it.
Wow. Can we get this up? This angle, first angle. Can we get your information, young man? We can try to get you a quicker response with what you're seeking, okay? Thanks so much. Last person here, young lady.
I wanted to share that I know that people are going to have trouble at their homes and stuff, but always
when they come to school, they might try to change their expressions or how they act, just so nobody would know how they feel when they go home, and how they would go like it's kind of like two-faced, basically. They would have their random act at school, and then when they go home, they keep themselves quiet, they don't speak to nobody. They feel like if they wanted to speak to someone, they wouldn't listen. As a girl, you know how they said the color and being a black woman, you won't really get that much say at all. They won't really listen to you. They're just gonna keep you out of the way. They're just gonna think your problem is your fault. That's basically it.
Thank you very much. Yes, young lady.
Hello, my name is Chastity, and I kind of just want to speak on young men's mental health because I feel like that's not acknowledged enough. I feel like a lot of our young men are taught to ignore how they feel or just push away their emotion, and I really feel like that's not healthy. Like, it's other ways that you can cope, and it's other ways that you can manage to become comfortable with sharing how you feel or expressing your emotions to any crowd. For example, how y'all are doing. And I just feel like it's not okay for our young men in this crowd to be scared or just don't feel comfortable to be able to express. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Thanks so much. We appreciate it. I'm sorry?
One quick comment. Your generation is already doing phenomenally better than mine did discussing mental health. When we were y'all's age, if somebody asked about mental health, first we didn't know what it was, we didn't talk about it, and none of us would have lined up to talk about it. Y'all are already doing a phenomenal job breaking down that stigma.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So to all of our students who participated, who were brave enough to take the microphone, to share your thoughts, to generate responses from our panelists, all of our subject matter experts we have here sitting in the audience, we'd like to first thank you. We also want you to have some takeaways. Remember, if you need to communicate about something, talk to someone about it. Not just sending a text message like an OMG or whatever on TikTok or whatever. Sit down, get in the face of someone and talk. Old-fashioned communication, so remember that. To your great students here, Mr. Plummer, Ms. Guerin, Assistant Chief, Mr. Captain Halford, your principal, and all other students who participated, give yourselves a round of applause.
Can you hear me, Mr. Review?
I hear you, I don't see you. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Before we close out, I do want to invite everyone somewhere. Okay, so PTA is having a fundraiser, and we want to invite you all to purchase tickets. We'll be at lunch. Today was wonderful. We want to celebrate you all and have a good end of the year event. Thank you again to everybody who came up and spoke. So on your way out, or Mr. Ingle, I don't know how you want to do it, but I want to play this short video to show y'all what's coming up. Hold on.
Thank you. Students, after you watch the video, Principal Ingle will dismiss you all. So stay put.
Yo, Southwest High School, what's up, man? It's your boy, Cindy Castillo, man, from Wild Out HBO. Catch me on Wild Out, man, May 30th, 8 June 11th this season, man. But listen, I'm coming home, dog, May 3rd. I'm coming to the auditorium, man. We're gonna be messing with the teachers, the principals, the faculty, man, all the good honor roll students come through playing games, shouting the Wild Out. We got a DJ. We're gonna have a good time, man. We finna show these boys in the city why Southwest High School #1 school in the district. And we're gonna raise some money. Holla at me, man. Follow me on Instagram, Sydney is funny. Let's get in, man. I'm coming in May 3rd. Yo, Southwest.
All right, so that's alumni Cindy Castillo. Tickets are $10, and if you want to join him, he's looking for a cast of Wildin' Out students to join him on stage. He wants 10 Southwest High School students to join in on the Wildin' Out game. So if you're funny, you can rap, you can high side. We want you to sign up. We'll be selling tickets at lunch, and again, it's next Wednesday. All right.
Yeah, that's good. I want to give me 1 second. 1 second. Thank you. I really want to compliment so many of you on the adult behavior and the conversations that I just heard. I want to make sure that when we talk about see something, say something, it doesn't just mean